Hi, my crafty friends. This is Shauna from the Foiled Fox, and today I'm going to be doing a project using a new die by Alexandra Renke. It is the Panaroma Sleigh. It's a wonderful one-horse open sleigh, and it gives you the opportunity to make a wonderful snow scene. So here's the die. It does have a lamp post with it, which is wonderful and so great for making a city scene, but I'm not going to use that today. And then the paper rose winter trees that has a gorgeous cluster of trees plus some sentiments. So I'm going to start out with a piece of Bristol paper in my MISTI, and then I'm kind of just laying out where I want the trees and then where that sentiment would lie with that, because I want to stamp the sentiment first because I want that on top, and then we'll mask it and then stamp the trees. So I'm going to stamp the sentiment first, and this I'm using Delicata ruby red ink, and it's a beautiful red. It's not burgundy, it's not pink, it's not cherry red, it's everything in between. It's a really beautiful color, and it has a little more depth to it because it has a tiny bit of shimmer. And then if you're like me, I always manage to smear my red or get marks somewhere. So I dry that very, very carefully to make sure it's good and dry. And then I'm going to prepare the mask. So I took some full adhesive post-it note and I stamped the sentiment again. And now I'm going to cut out each line. I'm not going to be crazy about cutting it out. I'm just going to generally be able to cover those lines. I do want the snow to kind of peek out in between those three lines, but I don't want it on top, and that's the whole reason for the mask. So with the Mary, I'm just cutting those little wedge shapes, again, not getting crazy about it, just cutting them out so that I can see the snow peek and be in between. And here's the last line. And with that covered, I'm going to position the stamp again. But first, without fail, I got a little tiny bit of red there. So I took a sand eraser. That's my lifesaver, and just erased off that red. So I'm taking that cluster of trees and positioning that. And then we'll stamp that next. So I've got the mask on there, and I'm going to start out with a Delicata silvery shimmer. And I'm going to stamp this a few times with the silver. Then I'm going to take some black shimmer. This is a Delicata ink also, and I'm just stamping the bottom with it, and then I'll take with my finger and smooth it out. When I say the bottom, it really goes up pretty close to the top of the trees, but I don't want the snow to become black. So I'm just stamping that again. Now my stamp pad is not very juicy, so it does give kind of a subtle ombre look. And then I'm going back with the silver again, and I'm going to stamp over it just to smooth out those colors. With that finished, I'm peeling off the mask. So you can see now that the snow kind of peeks through that, but not on top. So I've taken the die, and I've cut it 3 times. I cut it in black and twice in white. I didn't know if I wanted to use the black in the back or not. It turned out I'm not going to use that. I'm only going to be using the white, but I can set aside the black for another time. I just trimmed off the bottom and then just trimmed around the legs of the horse primarily. Just need to be careful not to chop off his legs too much, or this sleigh runners. Now with those cut, I'm going to take one of the white and I'm going to stamp it with the silvery shimmer ink again. I'm going to use the same technique as I did with the trees. So I'm going to stamp it with the silver, and then I'm going to go back with the black. Now, if your black is juicier than mine, you may want to use a blending tool here. This ink gives a really nice metallic look to it. I really like it. It kind of looks like it's been embossed when it's really just been inked. And then after using the black, I'm going to go back over it with the silver, especially on the top part of the cutout, so that you have a more silvery top to it. Now with that done, I'm going to be positioning that, but first I'm going to mat the card. So I'm going to start out with a piece of lollipop cardstock, which is a kind of a pinkish red cardstock that's slightly bigger than the front panel from top to bottom, not on the sides, but from top to bottom. And I'm going to put the front panel on there. And then we'll take, now that that's together, I'm going to take a piece of the silver silk paper from Tonic Studios. It's a beautiful textured paper, really stunning. I have to apologize. We usually have it in stock. It will be back in stock in a few days, so hang tight. It's well worth waiting for. But usually you can find it on our blog. So now I have those together. I'm going to attach it to a white card base. Then we'll go on to the one-horse open sleigh. So I've taken the white and I'm putting a little glue on the back to attach it to the card. And then on the front, I have taken a little bit of foam tape so that I can pop up the silver sleigh, and you'll see that in just a second. I'm going to peel off that release tape, and then before I put that sleigh in place, I'm going to take some silver thread and make some reins. I just really thought that this horse and its rider needed some reins. So I'm tying a knot around the horse's neck and then taking those two strands, and I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the back of the rider's hands so that that can stay in position. And I have to hold that just there for just a minute, just so it holds the reins. And then I will add it on to the top of the white one. It's slightly offset so you can see a little bit of the white. And then I trimmed off the reins, and I'm taking a silver gel pen and I'm just adding a few little dots of snow above where the snow already is. I'm not going crazy with it, just adding a few little flecks here and there just to bring that all together. And then I'm going to take a C1 Copic marker and just add that to the bottom to give a little bit of grounding to where you can, it looks like he is going through the snow. And there we have it. The one thing about this card, I love it. It's a very classic look. It doesn't show on screen, but it has such a beautiful, subtle shimmer to it. Here's some close-ups. And I want to thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly enjoyed making it. As always, you can find a complete supply list in the link down below that'll take you to the blog where there's oodles of inspiration And as I said, always a complete supply list. Thanks again, and I will see you next time. Bye.